Well, here we are in Cressington House Garden, and I'm just going to give a quick tour of the garden, and just looking at the things that are growing and need to be taken care of. But it's mainly grasses need to be cut back here, and these are lovely actually. Let's come in here. Very nice hellebores. I think. Anyway, this is one of the few things that are out and about at this time of year, and this is the bottom section of the garden down here, and everything's looking okay. Yeah, we've got some nice mauve-coloured heather as well here, and some very nice little whites as well. On that, and more heather there, and then behind here we've got some grasses which I like to leave uncut for the autumn, really as general cover for everything, and then cut it back in the spring. And so that's what this month's job is going to be, because there's quite a lot of grasses here, because it's we're on a coastal edge here. If I can just point out the river, beyond, right next to the river. Okay. So everything that grows well is good, and then we have to experiment a bit with what works and what doesn't. And this year I'm going to be putting some dahlias in here, probably down in this bottom garden more than in the top, because of the exposure to the wind. It's pretty cold, and dries everything out and knocks it over if it's fragile, which dahlias are. So I'm being a bit ambitious trying to put dahlias in, but I think in the bottom garden they'll go reasonably well, particularly in those two beds where the hellebores are at the moment. And I do grow some things in pots, and funnily enough, this is an indoor cactus kind of plant succulent that has done really well outside here in the most inhospitable conditions. And we've got some tulips here coming through, and that's a little baby buddleia, two little baby buddleias. Buddleias seem to do pretty well wherever you put them, so they're here. That's their job. Grass could do with cutting maybe next time I come, at the end of this month, beginning of March. It's not growing rapidly at the moment, and it looks a little bit hairy, but if you cut it too much too soon, it can damage the grass, so it's not a good idea to get too ahead of myself on that. Nice purple topped hebe here. If you can see it, it's just, there's just one or two blooms coming through, which is great. That's fine. But here we are. Here's some grasses that I'm going to be cutting back by this euphorbia. More white heather here in full bloom, looking great. And a little sample beech hedge there, which is fine in the summer. It's not much going on there at the moment. This little patch of ground here has always been a bit tricky to develop. It has some eryngiums in here for the summer, and some spring bulbs coming through, but because it's so exposed, I don't know why, this corner just is really difficult to get things moving. So last year I put in this little shrub here, and that's okay, that's fine, and survived the winter. It's got leaves on, so that's good. And then we have more grasses here that look fab in the autumn and over the winter, but as you can see, the frothy bits of the tops of the grasses are starting to get a bit windblown now. So yeah, time to chop all that back, and basically, down here, that's where all the new grass is going to come through. And if you've got all this stuff on top, it takes away the light from the new growth. So at some point, you've got to cut it back. A little bit more heather. A really nice yew tree that it doesn't do a great deal, but it has a go every year. It kind of gets wind burnt on this side, as you can see, but it's quite robust. It doesn't put on a lot of growth, just sticks with it. So Well done. A nice sedum here. These are lovely in the autumn. They're very dark purple. Now they go brown and they need cutting back. And right down in here, I can just show you, there's the new growth for this year. So that's fine. And yeah, it's kind of sensible to recognise that this is all growing on, sort of thing, from the winter and needs to be cut back. There's some couple of nice silver birch trees as medium tree specimens. I don't let these grow too big because otherwise they'd start to claim too much space and too much light. And as you can see, but it has put on at least a metre last year, probably a bit more even. So this year I'm just going to take the tops off it to stop it getting too, so we can keep it bushy, keep it the right shape in proportion to the garden. And one of the jobs I've got to do today is sweep up all these little bits of grass that are blown off. And really, this is an AstroTurf surface, so it's very easy to just get a stiff brush it all into a pile and pick it up. But this happens every winter, and then it's once all the grasses are cut back and stuff, it's not too difficult to hang on to. But this border here, again, more grasses, again, needs to be cut back. There's other things in here for the summer, so in some ways over the winter the grasses are protecting the perennials in the borders. And these shrubs here are doing really well. I like the shape and sprawl of this one here. This one I need to get, next time I get the hedge trimmers on it, it's going a bit hairy. Roses all along the back here have been cut back, and as you can see they're just starting to bud again, which is great. So they'll need spraying as soon as the leaves appear on those rose stems. I spray them. We had some problems here with the roses really being not very well fertilized, not very well fed, growing rapidly, but I think being a bit dried out and being a bit vulnerable to disease and virus. But now I spray them every time I come because I think that's the only way to do it. And I wonder if it might be a bit of the salt in the air here from the river, from the sea, might affect the plants and make them a bit susceptible. I'm not sure, so we'll see. And yes, yeah, these roses here are doing great, and this one on the fence here, the white rose that loses it, just one of those ones that no matter what you do, it loses its leaves. I've done as much as I can to look after it and give it a good vibe and a good spray, and it has picked up, but I don't think it's ever going to be one of the best roses ever. But it earns its socks, so it can stay. Oh yes, down here we've got some of the very few early spring bulbs coming through. This is Iris reticulata. And as you can see, lovely patterning, and love that yellow against the dark purple, fabulous. And there's more daffs and other tulips and things coming through these borders, but not yet. And I like this little plant here that I salvaged a while ago and put in this pot. It's I don't even know what it's called, but it is kind of like a weed. But weeds are robust, and weeds do fight the elements here really well, and so yeah, and that gets a prune a couple of times a year just by hand. And then a little while ago I found this nice old toilet cistern, and it's from Kirkstall in Leeds, probably sort of early last century, but it had a couple of holes in the bottom, and I thought, great, now I'll take that out the skip and plant it up. Again, it's got tulips and anemones in, and some veronica, and it's great. It looks after itself. And then we'll just come onto the drive down here. As you can see, it's snowing, by the way, and it's sunny and it's snowing. So one of the joys of being outside, I suppose, is to experience this sort of thing. Need to sweep up down here after the winter. You get little bits of leaves and things growing here, gathering, as you can see down this side edge here. And if I don't get time to do this today, we'll pick this up later. And gates are looking good at the moment, working fine. One thing I still didn't do since last autumn is paint the other side of them. We did this side but the other side, because this was the worst side and the other side wasn't quite so bad, but I'm going to pick that up again this spring. And then we've got the privet hedge here, which is okay. Keep it pruned, looking nice, but it does tend to lose a lot of leaves in the winter, mainly because it's so exposed. But you know, in the spring it comes back, it's fairly full, and looks okay. So yeah, there we go. Need to make sure we keep the drive weeded and sprayed, because here we've got some new growth of grasses and things, which are, you know, always a bit of a problem. And I'll re-sand some areas here as well, where we had some invasion of insects last year, mainly due to the warm weather and to the damp in the summer. And because we are so close to the sea, we get a particular type of insect in the sandy grasses and stuff. Well, you know, you see the same insects at the beach and the dunes. So, you know, that's just the temperate nature of where we are. Here we've got just a little table of bits and pieces. We've got some rosemary, and this is celery, and now it's starting its second year, and so I cut that, and it'll keep coming back, and we might need to just probably dress one or two little flowers into here to give it a bit of colour. But this stuff, what's in there now, is doing fine, and sort of just needs something to brighten it up a bit. We'll pick up something to go in there. Anyway, there we go. And let's just have a little look down here. So one more thing. Actually, I'll show you the outside as well while we're here. The pots are doing fine here in this section, always nicely protected in the winter on this side of the building. And we've got some tulips coming up here, and more buddleia and azalea, and actually that's mint in that one. And I've grown mint in pots because it's the best place to put mint, but also it makes a nice show in the summer, and you can pick it and nibble it as you're walking around if you want to. We've got some astispermums here by the gate, and some wild violet and some more veronica. And all of these things, basically in these little pots, are, you know, things that will grow here when nothing else will, if you see what I'm saying. And I need to sweep up down there's a few pine needles and things. And on the outside, we've got Cotoneaster and just one or two things peeking through from the other side. And this is a type of euphorbia here. And it's more of it. It just keeps popping through, and I let it grow till it's, you know, I don't know, 50 centimeters something, but I don't let it grow so it gets in anybody's way while they're walking along. But I do try and keep a little hint of garden on the other side, little suggestion that there's an interesting garden behind that fence. If you like, I'm showing a little bit of leg when I'm doing that. And yeah, so there's little bits here. Some of this might need this borage here. Quite nice in the summer when this peeks through from under the boards. It has a little purple flower, and you get some insects and things on it. And the same here. The ivy that grows on the other side of this fence grows well on this side in the sun. And I keep it trimmed with hedge trimmers so that it's neat and tidy. Not in anybody's face sort of thing, because it will hang down. Like I'll just show you for that, if I get that bit there, can you see that? So it does try to sprout out a bit, so you just need to keep your eye on it so it doesn't do too much of that. And down here, some lovely red berries on here, and over the next month they will disappear as different birds come back into the area, particularly small birds who are feeding and nesting. Those berries will be stripped, and that's great. It saves me having to pick them up. Anyway, there we go. That's where the garden's at. I'll just take a little walk over here down to the river. As you can see, It's very nice. They're busy on the docks over there, some noise and smelly smells of something burning the earth. And as we go round the river, I'm doing this, Misha, for you and Sophie, because you're not here, but I'm sure you've got a rather beautiful view wherever you are, and I'm sure there's a lot nicer things to look at than here, but this is rather special. It's the Mersey in February in 2021, and it's, you know, it's just beautiful, really. And then if I go around like this, you'll know where we are, and then I can show you back to your house there. It's not fallen down, still there. Anyway, there you go. I look forward to seeing you soon. Hope that's a good update. And what I'll do is, as you've noticed, actually, I've got a new phone. That's what it is. Got a new phone that's got a fairly good video thing on it, and because I've been on lockdown and a bit bored, I started making videos for people, and now I can't stop. Help! Anyway, I shall see you soon. Well, probably not soon, but I will see you digitally soon, no doubt. Okay, bye.